by myself, I guess temporarily at least, maybe to get, I don't know. It's been a very long day, so I appreciate your patience. Let's begin with items number 1 and 2 together.
Okay, item number 1 is a motion by Council Members Smith and Cardenas directing the City Attorney to draft an ordinance establishing a special fund to capture host fees from the Sunshine Canyon landfill for the development of facilities that return the maximum amount of resources to the beneficial use by recycling, resource recovery, or conversion to renewable energy or fuels. And this item is also referred to the Energy and Environment Committee. Item number 2 is a City Administrative Officer report relative to alternatives to the landfilling fee for the Sunshine Canyon landfill operations and related actions. And this item is also referred to the Energy and Environment Committee.
Afternoon, Emilio Rodriguez, CO's office. I'm actually addressing item 2, so I'll just start off with a quick briefing on CO report. The CO report before you was prepared in response to a Board of Public Works and Sanitation report that was released in January of this year. The alternatives to landfilling fee provides for a dedicated investment in solid waste processing and recycling facilities and programs that provide alternatives to landfill disposal. Specific uses for the proposed fund include support for alternative methods for solid waste management and reuse, including development of all-tech facilities with a renewable energy component and benefit, support for new or expanded recycling programs, and also provides for an offset of costs related to LA County conditional use permit fees for the city's waste stream delivered to the Sunshine Canyon landfill. The proposed fee will generate estimated revenue of $3.6 million annually. This is based on disposal activity of 6,500 tons per day at the landfill between the city and county. The net revenue after offsetting the payment of county fees and credit of city fees applied is approximately $934,000 to be used for alternative technology projects and programs. Adding Sunshine Canyon franchise fees of about $1.9 million to the equation, a total of $2.8 million is projected to be available annually for all tech purposes. These revenues assume joint landfill operations and are based on a revenue sharing model currently being negotiated between city and county. While the Bureau proposes the creation of a new fund to capture the alternative to landfilling fee and Sunshine Canyon franchise fee revenues, our recommendation is to place these revenues into the Solid Waste Resources Fund instead, which has compatible uses. Essentially, the sources and uses of funding would be tracked through revenue source codes and appropriations. However, the objectives of the new fee could be carried out with either option, whether putting them into the solid waste fee or keeping a separate fund altogether.
Good afternoon, Khalil Garas, Bureau of Sanitation Division Manager. The Bureau does, agree with the report prepared by the CAO. We would like to request that the committee will consider revision to the recommendation in the report with regard to the deposit of the fund in the SWRF. Instead, we would agree. We would like the committee to consider creating an alternative to landfilling fund where the revenue will be deposited in a fund together with the franchise fee from the city waste and be used for alternative technologies. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. We have one request for a speaker, so Dave Hauser.
Good afternoon, Committee Chair. I guess that's all we have today.
That's all we have.
I have a few brief comments. By the way, for the record, I'm Dave Hauser. I'm the General Manager for Sunshine Canyon Landfill. When the City Council approved the joint City-County landfill in 1999, the City and BFI came into an agreement that 12% of the BFI's revenues from the municipal solid waste going to the city side of the landfill would go to the city for use for community improvements and to pay for various recycling programs and alternative fuel vehicles for recycling and waste collection. We estimate that over the next 30 years, we'll be paying hundreds of millions of dollars to the city from the 12% fee. Now, 9 years later, after we have permitted and developed the project, the city is saying, no, wait, we're going to change the deal. We want more money and we want to tax just the volume going into Sunshine Canyon. We think the action would be unfair and discriminatory towards our company. and violates our constitutional rights. I want to enter, if possible, into the record. I have some letters here from our attorney, which should kind of spell out our legal position on the matter. We had testified before, I think in January of this year, regarding some of the similar arguments. So we would urge this committee, and then if it did go to council, not to approve what we feel is an unfair, illegal, and discriminatory action. So that's my comments.
All right, thank you, Mr. Hauser. Just, if I may, rebut some of that. I mean, we had a deal, but you guys went to the state legislature and tried to get them to break the deal by creating a new LEA behind our back. So I'm not so sure that there's been an honest exchange of agreements here. You know, we've resolved some of those issues, but also this tax would be on any landfill in the city of LA, not just Sunshine Canyon. So it's not directed towards Sunshine Canyon entirely
I believe we're the only landfill in LA.
at this moment.
Yes, at this moment.
That doesn't mean that we wouldn't reopen Lopez, or although it's kind of burned up right now. But
Well, we are too, a little.
actually, yeah, I understand. I apologize. Anyway, Mr. Pritzker.
Keith Pritzker, Deputy City Attorney. I wanted to, and I will, when this matter goes to E&E committee tomorrow and the full council next Tuesday, be able to have had time to review the comments of legal counsel for BFI. But I do want to point out that it is always important for those who manage this city to be looking to the future. Whether we're talking about transportation or housing or any other sector of municipal government. The ability to dispose of our refuse is one of those primary essential services provided by the city. And that I understand is the aim of this particular ordinance and this fee, because we will not, unfortunately, have the ability to use the surfaces of Sunshine Canyon landfill beyond a certain number of fixed years, and those years pass rather quickly. And so there is a legitimate need for this type of fee so that we could do the appropriate type of planning that we need on into the future.
Thank you. Anything more, Mr. Hauser?
No other comments?
Right, we'll hear tomorrow their rebuttal or their answers to your comments in the E2 committee.
Okay.
So they'll be heard a second time.
Okay.
So I'm going to send this forward to committee with these recommendations, and we'll get these to you, so don't go scrambling and writing these down, because you'll go crazy. So with these recommendations, approve the Bureau of Sanitation Board report, amend the recommendations of the CAO report accordingly. Number 1, approve recommendations 1 and 5. Amend recommendation number 2 to read, request the city attorney to present and prepare an ordinance to establish the alternatives to landfill ATL fee, not to be added to the solid waste resource revenue fund. Number 3, amend recommendation number 3 to read, request to the city attorney to prepare and present an ordinance as necessary to sign the deposit and expenditure of Sunshine Canyon franchise fees to the ATL fund, not the SWRRF. Number 4, amend recommendation number 4 to read, request the controller to establish new recyclable receivables or revenue accounts for the ATL alternative to landfill fee, and transfer the available balance of the Sunshine Canyon franchise fee SCFF to the ATL fund. And number 5, delete recommendation number 6. Also, because we have some draft ordinances that are prepared today, we will send those to the E2 committee for tomorrow. And to establish the ATL fee, 2, create alternatives to landfill fund, 3, delete the Sunshine Canyon franchise fees from the Integrated Solid Waste Fund, the ISWMF, and to approve motion 05-15405, setting aside the Sunshine Canyon franchise fee for alternative to landfilling, and to ask the clerk to link council files 1, that'd be 05-1405, and 2, 08-2690, because they both have the same intentions, to the EERC tomorrow. And we'll give you the language on that. So with that, that'll be the recommendation of the chair, and we'll move those to committee tomorrow, which will be hearing this matter tomorrow. Then item number 3.
Item number 3 is an Environmental Affairs Department report relative to various amendments to the Los Angeles Municipal Code for local enforcement agency services to provide clarity, cost recovery, environmental protection, and address the administrative needs of the LEA program.
Mr. Suda.
Good afternoon. Wayne Suda, appearing for the City of Los Angeles Local Enforcement Agency. The matter before you is requested because of some changes in state law over the past few years, some recommendations by the auditors from 2003, audit recommendations, and some administrative issues. The first would be to have permit revocation provisions for non-payment of fees. This was recommended in a 2003 City Auditor Controller report as a recommendation. We're just finally catching up to it. We do not revise our ordinance yearly. We revise fees by a mechanism using the Consumer Price Index and a formula, so we do not have to go back to council every year to adjust the fees, so we just haven't. And this is something that we needed to do for some time. We've got some new types of facilities like green waste processing, construction demo, and inert material processing that we needed new fee categories for, so they're included in this. We have created some regulations for local control of waste collection vehicle storage yards. These are vehicles that collect waste and go to a yard at the end of the day. We inspect those yards, and we have created some regulations, some standards that we could use for the inspection and enforcement of those facilities. We are also asking for additional authority to do land use enforcement in conjunction with the City Planning Department. The City Planning Department issues conditions of approval, and it has recently come up that we as the city LEA cannot enforce those provisions or even put those conditions in permits. So we feel that a way to handle this problem is to be able to get authority in conjunction with an agreement from City Planning Department that has the authority for oversight of these conditions of approval, for us to be able to do investigation and follow-up for them. We have spoken with City Planning, and we're on the very beginning stages of setting up an agreement with them, but we're asking for the authority should that agreement pan out. Okay. Two other administrative items. One was to request LEA badge authority. When we formed the program back in 1992, we actually did have badges, but shortly after that, the City Council, for justifiable reasons, took badges away from all non-police personnel. And it took a while for the council to create a procedure on how to get those back. And we have followed that procedure, and we are now asking for that same authority that we had before. Additionally, one other administrative item is that our fees and possibly fines and other types of revenue currently go into the general fund. And what we were asking for would be to establish a special fund within the Environmental Trust Fund for those funds to flow into and for the department to control. So that would be the extent of what we're asking for in this council action.
Any more? Okay. Larry, you have anything from planning? We're good on this? going to help you.
Good afternoon, Larry Friedman, City Planning Department. My comment in just having reviewed a draft of the ordinance in regard to the land use conditions enforcement, I've let Mr. Suda know that there are a couple provisions in the Muni Code, one in the zoning, one in the building code, that give zoning enforcement authority to building and safety. And so I would recommend that the city attorney look into that matter to see if in this case for a landfill, if that authority can be shifted.
Yeah. Or probably, we'd probably have to amend that existing, is that in the ordinances or is it in admin code?
It's in the zoning code and the
Zoning.
building code.
So we'd probably have to amend those two codes, or at least the zoning code to say, or EAD as, or LEA as is necessary.
Right.
Something like that to make it.
Perhaps.
So you can
I
do
think
it.
the land use attorneys and city attorney's office
Yep.
need to look into it.
Good. I think they will. Okay.
One further thing to add, which I did fail to mention, and that is we are asking for the badges and we're asking for the authority to do code enforcement. And along with that comes the requirement to become peace officers in order to issue citations. So that's part of this also.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we're adding administrative penalties as
Uh-huh.
part of the citation process.
So you have to have that authority to be able to issue those citations.
Yes, very similar to what went through council for the Bureau of Street Services, street use inspectors recently. So we
And
kinda
that's
modeled-
limited to $1,000, which is is a Muni Code violation then? Is that what we're doing?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
All right. You know, I got to tell you, this is one of the best reports I've read. I mean, it's very well thought out. I think you looked at the problems you have to deal with, tried to find solutions to them. I'm very, very pleased with this. So we're going to move that to EE2 again. We're going to approve the EAD report recommendations, approve the draft ordinance, which was just presented to us. So we'll send it to that other committee to take a look at, and then remove the reports and the ordinance to EERC tomorrow. All right. Thank you very much. Very good job, all of you. Thank you. Number 4.
Item number 4 is a CAO report relative to a contract amendment with HDR Engineering Inc. to amend the Solid Waste Integrated Resources Plan to include alternative solid waste processing technology studies.
Emilio Rodriguez again, CAO's office. Bureau of Sanitation seeks continuation of consulting engineering services for the study, identification, and evaluation of alternative technologies for the processing of municipal solid waste, essentially black bin waste in the city. Initial phases of the project were completed under a previous consultant whose contract was terminated back in March of this year, I believe. The city is currently in a 6-year contract with HDR Engineering for development of the Solid Waste Integrated Resources Plan. As you know, the SWRP is a 20-year master plan for solid waste recycling programs with the ultimate goal of establishing the city as a zero-waste city. Recognizing that there are synergies between the Alternative Technologies Project and the SWRP, the Bureau proposes to fold Phase 3 of the project into the SWRP contract. The scope of work for Phase 3 resumes the evaluation and ranking of proposals and the site evaluation process for development of an all-tech facility in the city. Some of the tasks would include permitting and environmental clearance, outreach and marketing, contract negotiation assistance, project management, and related tasks, totaling $2.3 million. All of the tasks are outlined in the attachment to the CO report. Bureau estimates completion of these tasks within 1 year under the SWRP contract. There's no additional time on the contract necessary, nor funding. The funding is currently provided for in the budget through the Integrated Solid Waste Management Fund.
Anything more? Okay. Well, I got to say, I know Enrique and the staff had been concerned about our previous contractor, and it kind of culminated in an ugly month of March. But the use of HDR has been really very good in the SWRP program. It was a good choice, Mr. General Manager, and I can tell you, having been with them for over a month on that trip from hell, they are really awesome. I'm very, very delighted with what I've seen so far. I haven't seen the final report. I hope I'm still happy with them, but Up to this point, I've been really delighted with the selection of HDR, so I'm very happy to move this forward. And thank you very much. We'll take this and send this to E2 also tomorrow. Okay? Budget or no, it says E2.
E2.
E2, right. Okay, thank you very much. Is there anyone wishing to testify in any matter not on today's agenda?
Mr. Chair, just for the record, since we don't have a quorum today, all the actions taken today will be recorded as communication coming from the chair.
Correct. Okay. That being the case, meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much. I love it when no one argues.